Hello knitters, Barbara Benson here. I am an independent knitwear designer who also likes to make videos here on my YouTube channel, Watch Barbara Knit. This video is one of 5 special videos that I am making to introduce you to all of the new patterns in my brand new book, Big Yarn Beautiful Lace Knits. The idea behind this book is that it is all patterns that incorporate lace and they're knit up in bulky or super bulky yarns. They're going to be fast and they're going to be beautiful. Now, I want to remind you to check in the description notes below. There you will find a link to the individual Ravelry pattern pages where you'll be able to see more photographs and get more details. And I'd like to thank Gail Zucker for all of the beautiful photographs. She did all of them for my book. If you want to get a copy of this book, I encourage you to ask your local yarn store to carry it. If you do not have a local yarn store, you will also find a link in the description below to Amazon where you can order the book. Now, I've decided to do something a little different with this video. Right after this introduction, there will be a section where you will just see text that will have the specific details about the pattern and a few still photographs, again, by Gail Zucker. And that is for you get it quick and dirty, and if that's all the time you have, you can see it. But if you'd like to wait around after that finishes, you will get to see me and I am going to show you all of the patterns. First, we're going to start off with the shawls and you will get to see me playing with them. Now, in this first video, my shawls video, my color went a little wonky and I apologize for that, but the information is there. And if you really want to know what the colors of the yarns look like, the still photographs are exactly, they're absolutely beautiful. I'm so excited about them. So we are going to jump to what is essentially the cliff notes, and then if you want to stick around, you can see me play with the shawls. Shoot the Moon. So, Shoot the Moon was the first shawl I designed for the book, and I got it written up. I was specifically trying to make it fairly easy to execute, very straightforward. You can see it is a very simple lace mesh pattern, and one of the reasons is I wanted the book to have something simple and relatively easy to execute, but also I needed to have my hands free, and what I did is I was able to write up the entire pattern and send it off to my awesome sample knitter, Kelly. So thank you so very much, Kelly, for knitting this, and she gave me feedback and it worked out great, I think. It is an asymmetrically shaped shawl, so you can see it starts at this little point with just a tiny cast on, and then you establish, see how these, let me see how these 3 columns are right there, and then the columns start again, and then the columns start again, and then again. So the repeat is these 3 columns. It's only a set number of rows, and you just do the same thing over and over again, and you're constantly making this bigger. You're shifting, you use stitch markers. The shift markers, shift markers. The stitch markers shift and show you where you need to stop and start. So one of the great things about this and this asymmetrical shape is that I believe I used 2 skeins for this one. I'll double check that. If you wanted it bigger,
You just need more yarn, and you can just keep on going in the pattern as established and make it as big as you want. Which is really cool. And the lace will continue getting bigger, and the stockinette section will continue getting bigger. And I called it Shoot the Moon because I thought it was kind of cool. Let me see if I can get it. The stockinette section kind of looks like a crescent shaped moon. And then the lace is like trailing dust, you know? So like if you had a shooting star, so this is a shooting moon, okay? So that is Shoot the Moon. Like everything else in this book, this is in a bulky weight yarn. But honestly, if you wanted to do it in a different weight yarn, the pattern really would be the same. You just have to adjust your needle size and get a drape that you like. So that is Shoot the Moon. One of the ways that's fun to wear this is like this. The crazy thing is, if you can believe, this is only what the grand total of just over, well, 226 yards. So that's not a whole lot of knitting, and look how much you get. That is the great thing about bulky yarn. You knit super fast. So that is Shoot the Moon. I'll show you the lace close up again, or for the first time. See how cool that is? Okay, and it's got great drape. The secret to getting great drape with bulky yarns is to work on a big enough needle. I think this was on an 11, but you can see it gets fantastic drape. Next, we have Giant Elves. Now that seems like a silly name, but this lace pattern in the Stitch Dictionary was called Elvish lace, but I was working at Giant, so I'm like, hey, Giant Elves. And this has a repeated pattern, you can see, and it's actually fairly, again, I tried to keep them easy. This one has some double decreases in it right here at the point, so it is a little bit more challenging than, oops, than the first one I showed you, but it has less in the way of shaping. It is a rectangle worked on the bias, which means that you're actually knitting straight lines like this, and the directionality of the lace is like so, but since it's worked on the bias, you get this really neat angle, and it makes, again, a very flexible pattern. If you wanted to use more yarn, you could. If you wanted to make it wider, you could increase the number of repeats across this way. The math on that is a little challenging though, because it's on a bias. It doesn't like make it X amount wider, but I think it's pretty wide as it is. Again, we've got some gorgeous drape that has to do with the needles that we're working it on. And the other thing, this is one of the pieces in the book. This yarn is, let me get the name right, Patton's Shetland Chunky, and it is 75% acrylic. Really and truly. I really wanted people to understand that you can and should work lace in acrylic. You have to block it. But once it's blocked, it stays blocked, which is super cool to me. Now, this one is very straightforward in that it's worked on a bias. You just repeat the same stitch over and over. It's got such, I love the drape on it. I wouldn't wear it like that. It's nice and big, and if you want something you can wrap up in, this one will do it for you. Look how much you've got. Let me see how, woo! But you can also, if you wanted to, fold it in half like this, and then in half like that, and then you've got your loop, whoop, and you've got a nice voluminous scarf. One cool thing I've seen people do is if you took one of the legs out and you twist this and you pull it back through, you get this really interesting, there we go. You can get it really knotted up and do some fun, cool things with it. I love rectangular shawls. I think that they are incredibly versatile. Again, with just folded in half, it could be a scarf, or whoop. You can just, I like wearing rectangular shawls like this, where you just loop it in the front and let it dangle down in the back, and it looks so cool like that. So that is giant elves. The next piece, this is the piece that's on the cover. This is Deux. Now, the reason why it got that name is because while I was knitting it, I kept thinking, it's as simple as 1, 2, 3, but un, deux, trois, it sounds a little bit fancier. And the un, deux, trois, the 1, 2, 3 is that, so all of the rows, the motifs are divisible by 3 or 6. So it works through a series of motifs that it's just the way it came. For me, it was a very almost instinctual flow. Let me hold it up close so you can see it. You can see it has the little diamonds and then medium diamonds and then little diamonds and then medium diamonds and then little diamonds evolve into the medium diamonds and end up with gigantic diamonds. Un, deux, trois. And that is how. And if you wanted to make this shawl bigger, what this is you repeat the little motif like twice, and then you do the medium motif, and you go right back to the little motif and the medium motif. If you wanted to make it bigger, you could continue to alternate between the big and the little, the small and the medium motifs before you proceeded to the ending, which is these large motifs, which I really like. You still got the big squares, but I really like, let me see if I can point it out. I like how this right here, I like how that came together. I thought it looked super cool. That's the big diamond, and then this little ending here. It's just a shape I really like. This is a top-down crescent-shaped shawl. So it, unlike triangles, doesn't have a point at the bottom, and the fabric that would have been down here at the triangle bottom has been moved up into the arms or the wingspan, so it wraps around really nicely. Am I tall enough? I am not tall enough, but you can see it comes all the way around, and then you have enough that you could wrap. If you had a shawl pin, you can wrap yourself up. There is enough here that you could actually keep warm, but it also has a great dangle factor. And you want to see the back like this. I love this shawl. This is in Miss Babs K2, and it is a wonderful bulky weight yarn that comes in a really big skein. I think this took 2 skeins. And so you just knit, top down. Let me see if I can find the very beginning for you. It's actually kind of tough to find because I think it went together really well. There we go. Starts up there, and then you just keep going. And again, it's got great drape. Oh, I think that looks so cool. So that is un, deux, trois. And here, the other ones were all in bulky weight yarn. This is super bulky. This is Rasta. Rasta is massive. It's knit on size 17 needles. It is the biggest. Look at this shawl. It is so huge, and I just adore it. I decided this one, the shaping of it is a little unusual. The cast on, let me see if I can find it. I tried to make it fairly seamless. Where's the cast on stop? I can't find it. The cast on is like long. Oh, it's going to be there. And where does the cast on stop? So here. So this is the cast on. See the whole neckline here. You see those little eyelets across the top? Though that's the cast on. So what I did is I cast on and you knit a little bit, and then I used essentially what is pie shawl shaping to, you know, double the number of stitches and cause it to flare out. And that gave us this nice curve, you can see. Look at that. And then you repeat a fairly simple motif with big giant double yarn overs, which are some of my favorite things. I love them even more after doing this book. And then it comes together. How cool is that? I love curves in lace. And this is where the shawl got its name. The way that these, when I close them off, how they curve together. I was just trying to figure out, you know, when I'm naming what to make it look like, and I thought it looked like the top. I was looking at some pictures of the head of a puff adder. It's this type of snake that like poofs itself up, and it looks really cool. And they've got a head shaped like this, and Bitis is the genus. So I did that. So that was where the name came from. Double yarn overs. You'll find a lot of double yarn overs in this book, and double yarn overs are not tricky. It's just, instead of wrapping the yarn once, you wrap the yarn twice. And then when you're knitting the wrong side, you have to knit into one of the yarn overs and purl into the other to create this. See how it's twisted like this? Otherwise, you actually will lose a stitch, because if you try to purl or knit them both, it collapses, and it has to do with the structure of the stitch. But it's not hard. You just, when you hit the double yarn overs, you know you got to knit one and purl the other. Also, I talk about it in the book itself. But here, and this is huge. Let's put it on. Look at that. Ooh, there'll be pictures. I'll show you better pictures, but it's just enormous. It's like you could wear it like a cape, and it still wraps around. And it's big and bulky and fun, and it really didn't take that long to knit because of how bulky it is. Again, this is in Rasta, and I think the colorway is Melon. I really like how it came out.
I hope you enjoyed this video, and please click on the links in the description notes. Check out and get a copy of my book so that you can knit up some of these patterns for yourself. If you like this video, please click the like button. And if you would like to be notified whenever I upload a new video, please subscribe to my channel and select notifications. Thank you so much.